Am I the a-hole for showing my daughter the text her fiancé sent me? I'm a widower with 2 children, 23-year-old biological daughter and 17-year-old stepson, Adam. My late wife passed away 2 years ago, leaving me to care for Adam, disabled, wheelchair-bound. His sister loves him, and she always visits and checks in on him. Her fiancé Mike and I don't get along because of how he behaves around us. Unlike us, Mike comes from a prosperous family, and they always tend to show off what they have. Mike treats my daughter well, but acts as if me and my family were less than. He doesn't eat nor drink anything at my house. He and his mom make comments about our living space and constantly brag about what his family got. My daughter was visiting and said she wanted me and her brother be at the wedding to share her day. The day I received the invitation, Mike called and expressed how he and his family weren't thinking Adam's presence at his sister's wedding was necessary. He went on about his family's upper-class guests and how Adam's presence would feel out of place, and suggested I come alone. I told him my daughter said she wanted Adam there, but he kept coming up with suggestions till we started arguing. I checked with my daughter to clear any misunderstanding, and Mike then said Adam could come. I then got text from him talking about how it's his wedding, so I needed to stop sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. He mentioned my son isn't technically family anyway, so it wouldn't matter if he's uninvited. Claiming I was trying to be mean on purpose to make it hard because I don't like him. He finished by saying that this is my fair warning, and that if I choose to make my son's presence at the wedding my hill to die on, then I just sign away any rights to any future grandchildren he and my daughter will have. That was it. He kept calling, but I blocked him. I invited my daughter to my home to tell her I won't attend if my son won't. She asked what happened. I showed her the text Mike sent me, and she was shocked. Said nothing, just took a picture of it and left. My sisters came the next day, saying the wedding was off after a huge argument between Mike and my daughter because of me. Argued that I created this problem when I showed my daughter the text. And I could have respected the groom's rules since it's his wedding. But I was being controlling, not wanting my daughter to be happy. Went on about Mike being high class, a man with a salary, his own house and car. More relatives were saying they would have had someone watch Adam if this was the issue. But it wasn't. Then they claimed it was because of my resentment towards Mike. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You saved your daughter from getting married to an ableist bigot. It was much better for her to find out what he's really like now than after they're bound together by legal paperwork. Holy cow, this! Imagine how she would feel if she didn't find out until after marriage, or worse, after kids. She cares about her brother, and her fiancé showed his true colors. Better to find out before it becomes more complicated to leave. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Oh, hell no! Do not let your daughter marry that prick. If Opie prevented daughter marrying Mike, he'd be just as bad as Mike. Hopefully he stays true to her word now that she's realized what a scummy, controlling snob he is. Not the a-hole. The wedding is not off because of you. It's off because of Mike's snobbishness and ableism. You know the old thing about how you can tell a person's true self by their treatment of waitstaff and cashiers? It applies equally well here. Your daughter deserved to know what her fiancé was saying. She might not be happy right now, but your daughter dodged a bullet. You're the one who yelled at her to duck. Not the a-hole. The wedding is off because your daughter realized that if her fiancé was willing to treat her brother this way, then he wasn't the type of man she wanted to spend her life with. Tell your gold-digging sisters that Mike is now single. They can chase after him if these assets are so important. But you have a family that cares for each other, and that's all you need. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for rudely telling my husband I decide who is in the delivery room? So for context, I'm 28 female, I'm currently pregnant with my partner, 31 male, and I'm a first-time mom. My hospital recently changed their policy and are now allowing 2 support people in the delivery room. My mother-in-law made comments early on that she wanted to be there for the birth, and this woman is not subtle. At the time, I felt protected by COVID protocols, but set that expectation straight. I explicitly stated that anytime I give birth, it will be a private medical experience that only includes my husband and medical team. I thought that it was clear it wasn't a debate, Because it's my body, and I have the autonomy to decide who sees it in any context. Additionally, I do not have a good relationship with my mother-in-law. She just recently started initiating positive interactions after years of me trying, and it's absolutely because she's an "it's my grandbaby" person. Recently, my husband told me we needed to have a discussion. He starts off by saying he mentioned the support person protocol change to his mother. I tried not to react, but immediately I blurted out asking why he would do that. He goes on to say he knows his mother really wants to be in the room to see the baby's first breath. I replied logically, if your mom sees their first breath, she will also see me pushing and will be looking down at my canal. I actually had to explain why I refused to give birth in front of his mother. I then told him that there are only two priorities in the delivery room, and neither of them are his mother or her feelings. The discussion continued back and forth. Finally, I started crying. I told him that the labor and birth will be the most painful and vulnerable experience of my life, and that I need him to protect me. I told him that anyone who refuses to protect their pregnant partner failed them, and it's just dead weight in the delivery room. My husband told me I'm rude, other negative things too, left our apartment, and when he came back, he wasn't speaking to me. This is where I think I could be the a-hole. I told him giving me the silent treatment, because I won't let his mother spectate at my most intimate area rips open, was very immature. It made me worry if he has the emotional intelligence to support me in the delivery room. I think my husband took my hint, but I didn't explicitly say that I can decide he won't be allowed in there either. I will say I would be devastated if I had to do that, and never thought this would ever be a problem during my pregnancy. So, am I the a-hole? Info. I did cuss when talking about freaking ripping, but that was it. I also wasn't yelling, but I was sobbing loudly enough during it that my neighbor next door knocked to check on me after I left. Edited for added info. I saw some questions. Sorry about not including this originally. I'm a mess currently. I have a mother and two sisters, both moms, who I love endlessly, but I didn't ask any of them to be in the delivery room because I only wanted my husband there. Also, I did not yell at my husband at any point during this interaction. I was sobbing. I didn't lose my cool. In fact, my husband's screaming was why my neighbor in the apartment next door heard and came and knocked after he left. She told me when I answered the door, I move slower these days, that she was so glad I answered because she was considering calling 911. Not the a-hole. Your husband pulled a moronic move going behind your back to let mother-in-law know she might be able to be in there. That, my dear, is fully 100% up to you. In fact, I think you need to let the staff know that under no circumstances is she allowed in the room. Give them a close-up mugshot of her. This 100%. If possible, let them know ASAP, so that if she tries to get in on the day, they can kick her straight out. I'd skip kicking her out and go straight to having her arrested. Not the a-hole. This is insane. Hold your ground, Opie. Ask your husband how he'd feel if your dad chaperoned a future vasectomy. You know, to provide support and coach him through it. Some people need analogies. Not the a-hole. What is with all the mother-in-laws in the world suddenly deciding they need to see the birth of their grandchildren? No mother-in-law I've ever met thought she deserved to be in the delivery room. It's completely up to you who is in the room. But beware, she might try to sneak in. Make sure the hospital staff knows it's just you and your husband. Maybe have him watch a video of a live birth so he understands how absolutely vulnerable you will be in that moment. Thank you for the suggestion because I was thinking of this, but was worried I was being over the top. I told him I wanted him to watch a human birth when he brought this up. Now it's required because honestly, I don't want him in the room if he's so ignorant and uneducated on the process. Because then, he really will just be dead weight and probably will cause me and the baby stress. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for finally telling my sister I asked to move in with my dad to get away from her? My sister Hannah, 26 female, is 2 years older than me, 24 female. Growing up with her was fine until she turned 10, and then her personality just switched. Everything was an argument. I have no idea if it was really triggered by her dad leaving the country, back to Honduras, or mental health issues. I never asked, because she never wanted to talk about it. While Hannah and I share a mom, we do not share fathers. Mom wasn't with either of our dads, romantically, for long. And I don't judge her for that, it is just how things were. My dad stuck around, wanted everything to do with me. Hannah's dad was around until he left, got married, and rarely called. I went through a lot of instability and told my dad how miserable I was. Mom couldn't focus on both of us. Sometimes my dad would pick me up and take me for a week. I would come back to my things ripped up, Hannah clinging to me, or her shouting at me that she hated me, wanted me to go away. My mom didn't know how to make it stop, and I seemed to be the target of Hannah's jealousy and emotional fits. So when my dad met stepmom, Judy, and they talked about moving to her hometown, Portland, I begged to come with them. At this point, I was living with them almost full-time. Most of my things were at their house because Hannah liked to just destroy my stuff for fun. Dad took me to school and I would see my mom on the weekends, but even that might be cut short. My mom agreed after I said it was for the best. I was already miserable, and she should focus all her time on Hannah. And it worked out. I had a family where I wasn't suddenly attacked for simply existing. And Hannah had all the attention she needed to have therapy and work on her problems. But I guess my mom told her that custody was awarded to my dad because he made more. Hannah was visiting me in Portland 2 years ago and asked if I ever resented the courts for not letting us grow up together. I asked where she heard that. I then said, "I love you, Hannah, but I moved in with my dad because you treated me like crap." It recently came up that Hannah is back in therapy because she keeps remembering the comment I made and feels terrible about it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Look, your sister went through obvious mental problems and took them out on you. She was a confused and scared 10-year-old. I do not think she is a horrible person for that, and I love and commend the fact that you two have reconnected now that you are both adults. You are a star for seeing things how they are, not holding them against her. But that said, you are adults now. You are allowed to speak the truth and you did it in a respectful manner. Her behavior impacted your life. Things got a lot better when we were in high school and college. Distance really helped. But she seems to misremember a lot of what happened when we were kids. My mom told her a lot of things differently that I feel happened. And I think she didn't realize I remembered the things she did and still kind of resented. She might remember them less vividly or completely blocked them out since she was only 10, and your mother has been sheltering her. I mean, I hardly remember anything from when I was 10. You? That does not mean your feelings are not valid. People doing horrible things to others are much more likely to forget what they have done because they are not the ones who got hurt. It is not a shame to remember this, as long as you do not do it repeatedly / hold it over her. I hope you got some therapy / help with this as well. Stay safe. Not the a-hole for being honest with her as an adult, and she probably needed therapy anyways. I honestly don't know why she stopped. She gets emotionally irregular if she doesn't go and talk stuff out. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my daughter the basement suite after I renovated it only because she refused to give up her room upstairs? I've been remarried for 2 years now, and we recently had a son. I also have a 14-year-old daughter from my first marriage, and a 12 and 9-year-old stepsons. When my wife was 5 months pregnant, I asked my daughter if she could swap rooms with my stepsons. We had only 4 bedrooms at the time. My daughter had the largest room. Our plan was for my daughter to take the second largest room, my stepsons to share her larger room, and convert the smallest room into a nursery. I thought this was a fairly reasonable ask, but my daughter made it into a huge fight. And worse was when my ex got involved, who then threatened to take me to court to reduce my custody of my daughter all over a room. This caused way too much stress at home, and I gave in, which I do regret now. But I then proceeded to renovate the basement suite. With my father's help, the basement now had the largest bedroom with a lounge and a full bathroom. It's very easily the nicest part of the house. The kids then started fighting over who would move down there. And I very firmly told my daughter that I renovated it because she refused to give up her room. So my 12-year-old stepson gets to move down there. I don't know if it's just puberty, but my daughter has become extremely hostile and downright mean over this. She no longer comes over as much as before, citing the unfair room as the reason. My ex fully supports her. and I have to wait 5 months before I can even fight this in court. At this point, I'm not even sure it's worth the legal cost because she'll be 15 in December and her opinion will count in the court. Am I the a-hole for not giving in to my daughter's frankly bratty demands? It's killing me that my daughter feels like I'm pushing her out of the family. But I want to stay true to what I think is right. All attempts to get us in family therapy has been denied by my ex. And my poor father now feels terrible because he's being partly blamed since he helped with the renovations. I don't think you are an a-hole, but you haven't handled this well. Your daughter is in that awkward teen phase, and if the initial room was always hers, assuming your wife and stepsons moved into your house, then I can totally see her feelings displaced in favor of the new family and the new baby. I think it depends on how you ask her and explain the situation. She now sees a nice fancy room downstairs, and her stepbrother gets it and feels further punished. Not saying she's right, and she's definitely acting bratty and entitled, but you might want to examine why your daughter feels so displaced when she visits/lives with you. Not the a-hole for this situation specifically. She literally got what she wanted though, but they had to go a different course because she wasn't going to agree. So she kept what she wanted originally. She has no reason to feel punished or displaced. She's being enabled by her abusive mom. I've actively watched my sister go through some horrible custody crap, taking mistreatment from her son because her ex is brainwashing him to hate her, and she has to play nice for court purposes. She just moved to another state for a job opportunity and has a year to show that it's a good place for her son to be as well, / that she can support him there. And his dad is already turning it around that the courts are deeming her unfit to be a mom 100%, instead of realizing that she was his main provider for 13 years. When it comes to manipulative exes and courts, there's no good way to handle this mess. I think Opie did everything they were supposed to do, to the point where he didn't force his daughter to move when she didn't want to. Daughter is being brainwashed by mom, plain and simple. Parental alienation is what I'm looking for. 100%. Also not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If there is one here, it's your ex. Your request of your daughter was reasonable given the dynamics of the children in the household. At 14, she's old enough to understand this, but it sounds like there are other things at play that are influencing her behavior. The divorce, your ex poisoning the well, trying to blend families and her feeling pushed out that make me empathetic towards her. Am I the a-hole? My friend is having an affair. We plan to tell her husband. Plus updates. Original post. I've known Anna, female 38, since we were in high school. We are part of a group of 5. Now we hang out as families for Christmas, birthdays, Easter, etc. It has been like this for over 10 years. My partner, Greg, male 39, is good friends with Anna's husband, Darren, male 39. Anna recently told me she is having an affair with one of their family friends, who is also Darren's sister's ex-partner. At the time, I remained non-judgmental and supportive. Once the information set in and I realized how disloyal and gross the whole situation is, my sense of justice and moral compass came into play. Darren is a good man. Anna says he is a wonderful father and husband, but she just doesn't feel the connection with him anymore, despite faking it the last 6 months to keep her secret under wraps. I knew keeping this from Greg may backfire on me if he found out I also hid a secret. So I told him. He is shattered for his mate, and it is eating at him. I've told Anna that Greg knows. She's mad at me for the betrayal, expecting me to take it to my grave. She knows they're catching up soon and Greg plans to tell him. Anna has not asked for a separation because they have an overseas trip coming up in October. She has told me financially that she can't leave. Keeping in mind, she regularly gets expensive treatments like Botox and taking roids to have her look her best. We want to tell Darren about her affair in 2 weeks. Will we be the a-holes? She doesn't want to tell him because they have an overseas trip coming up. Likely a trip he's paying for, and she wants to leech off him. Tell him. We will. He will want to sell her tickets and cancel reservations. The sooner he knows, likely the less money he'll lose.
I put this above, but he needs to freeze his credit immediately and contact any credit card companies to cancel cards and get an update on money she spent, either running up the bill now or spending on her affair partner. Same with bank accounts, college savings accounts for the kids, you name it. Her money train is about to derail. Unless she's stupid, she's going to try and get every penny out that she can. Also, to add to this, as part of the conversation where Darren gets told about the affair, he needs to be told that he has to do all of this before confronting his wife about the affair. She's made it very clear that she's only in it for the money at this point, so he needs to cut that off as soon as possible. She is mad at me for the betrayal. Cheater mad for betrayal. The irony. Also not asking for separation because of a trip? What will happen after the trip? You would be the a-hole if you don't tell Darren immediately. She's greedy and selfish, I suppose. That's an understatement. Edit/mini update. Some have asked why we are waiting. Greg works away. He is home in 2 weeks, closer to 1.5 weeks now, but feels like due to the nature of the conversation, it should be in person. He knows Darren will be very upset, possibly angry, and wants to be here to support him in those initial moments. I feel like I should also mention there are kids involved. Do we tell him via text sooner? Let's clear some things up. They have always had separate bank accounts. They do not join money, and never have specifically because of how she spends money. They both work and put in a percentage of how much they earn into the home. She does not have access to his money and will not be able to clean it out in the 2 weeks. I know for a fact he keeps a very close eye on the credit cards. While we were away and she was buying unnecessary things like clothing, she made sure to use her card, not the credit. She says he will question her about it since they're trying to pay off the house and save for the trip to Bali. We are in Australia and laws are different. Things will more than likely be 50-50 financially. Greg can't quickly fly or drive back from work. It's a 13-hour drive one way and $600 plane fare. He's first in, first out, and cannot leave until R&R begins. While we all live in the same state, Australia's pretty damn big. She told me directly she would want the kids to be 50-50. Anna's never liked kids, and while she loves her own, I think the thought of having them full-time sounds like a walking nightmare to her. The person she's having an affair with has lunch with her locally sometimes while she is on lunch break from work. They have run into acquaintances multiple times. He comes for a family dinner twice a week. The kids have caught Anna sitting on his lap before, while Darren is not home. He comes over when Darren is on night shift, while the kids are in the home. Anna has apparently been able to cover up by telling the kids she does his injections and that it's private, so she administered them behind a locked door. He is also in roids and she's in hers. Darren did ask if I thought she was cheating back in January, due to her libido suddenly becoming very heightened. At the time, I thought it was because of a recent surgery she had. I don't think it will be too hard to convince him, and I'd say he has an inkling already. As Anna has said over the past few months, he has become possessive and jealous, for obvious reasons. The family trip planned in October is with another family friend and their family for the husband's 40th birthday. They have split activities, accommodation, etc. I think. We do need to keep in mind that Darren may choose to stay and work it out. In this case, Greg and I will be put in a very awkward position and possibly be removed from the group, which I'm okay with, but a little bit disheartened at the thought of losing people I've spent the last 20 years with. We have moved the meetup to the day Greg flies on Tuesday. If he was flying home sooner, it would have been done sooner. While it's not pleasant, I've had to sit on the info guys. By the time we confront him, I will have been told exactly 2 weeks and 3 days. Greg and I agree, in person will be best for this particular friend. Now for the full update. First and foremost, thank you for all the advice. I feel the general consensus is that we are not the a-hole. We were dreading catching up with our friend Darren, as we really did not want to be breaking news of this magnitude to him if there was an option for him to either come to the realization himself or her to come clean. Darren texted me Sunday that he had caught her. Greg and I still saw him and offered as much support as possible. She definitely watered down her BS, but Greg and I have told Darren what we know, which he said he is extremely grateful for. She did not apologize or provide reasoning, but simply packed her bag and left. The kids stayed with him at the family home. The children were distraught and Darren seems a broken man. At least now the ball is in his court, and he can see Anna for who she truly is. Darren is a mess, but has plenty of people surrounding him, including her family and friends. As for mine and Anna's friendship, I have decided I will be removing myself from it, and I'm no longer in contact with her, nor do I plan to be. I know plenty of people deemed me the a-hole for betraying a friend's trust, but was she really a friend, blaming and guilting me after making me complicit in her own deceit? I did not mention in the post that Anna had told me the following morning that it was good I knew, because now she could use me as an excuse. I don't owe loyalty to a friend like that. As for the group, I have messaged them about my stance, and why I will be removing myself from Anna. Again, the ball is in their court. It's their decision if they choose to continue a relationship with her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling people that my wife and I are planning to get divorced? After a tumultuous year, my wife, 32 female, told me a 34 male should like to separate, and I agreed with her. She told me she wanted me out of her life as soon as possible so that she could move on. But we have a shared apartment, so she'd like me to move out full-time. For the last 6 months, I've been living sometimes in my office to give her and I some space. I always imagined that this would be temporary until we solved things, but now that we are no longer together, I don't feel bound to her anymore, and thought that I should try and do what's best for myself. That means using the kitchen, shower, and bed in our apartment. It wasn't great having to live on takeout and sleeping on a couch here in the office for months on end. She said that this gave her a lot of anxiety and that she would contact her parents, who are leasing the apartment to her, to throw me out, and that she'd say whatever it took to get them to do that. I went immediately to her parents to seek reassurances that this wouldn't happen. I later found out that this is illegal. When I showed her the law, she said my reading comprehension sucked, and that even if it was illegal, she'd just get me deported since my visa application hasn't been finalized yet. Since then, I've made arrangements to stay with my parents in the States, travel around Germany to see the friends I met there one last time, found a lawyer, tried a support group, and generally have just attempted to move on. It's been difficult though, because she keeps messaging me telling me about how she isn't feeling well, and that she secretly didn't want to divorce, but was hoping for a break so that we could see if things got better. In Germany, you need to separate for a year before beginning divorce proceedings. She's also talking now about how things might be better, but that all went out the window when she found out that I told our parents. She said that it's simultaneously her right to tell her own parents, and that I shouldn't have told mine because my father is kind of a blabbermouth. I really wouldn't have said anything to her parents honestly if I wasn't so panicked about being kicked out of our apartment. She doesn't know that I told a bunch of my friends already, so I can only imagine how angry she will be when that happens. So am I the a-hole? You're getting a divorce. It doesn't really matter if she is mad at you. Get the paperwork done and move on. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You owe her nothing. It doesn't matter if she is mad. It doesn't matter if you're an a-hole. Block her mentally. Block her totally and tell her if she needs to communicate with you, she can do that through your attorney. Better not block her, but to communicate 100% through text so everything is in writing. Not the a-hole. Too bad for her that she couldn't control the narrative and make out that you were the bad person in all of this. That is what it was really about. She wanted to poison the feelings of your friends and family before you had a chance to say anything. God only knows what she planned to accuse him of. OP, get your narrative out there far and wide. They know exactly what she's like. Next story. Am I the a-hole? I told my ex's mom that her son physically abused me and it broke their family. I, 24 female, broke up with my ex, 24 male, after a few years of hell. I was beaten by him from time to time whilst living with his family. I was blackmailed and threatened by him to stay silent for so long. The bruises I had on my rib cage were hidden by clothing, so the family never saw. But eventually, I got the courage to escape and ended a toxic relationship. I kept in contact with his mom, Sandra, who is like a second mom to me, and we meet for coffees now and again. She doesn't know the real reason why I broke up with her son. While in therapy, Sandra texted to check how my sessions were going and asked to meet at a cafe afterwards. She knew I was going to therapy but had no clue what for. We sat in the car for a bit, chatted, and I showed her briefly some worksheets I was given from my therapist. Basically, a printout of a PPT they made about domestic violence. Sandra looked through the sheets, me forgetting that she didn't even know about it all. She became manic and worried and asked why I have therapy in domestic violence. I would feel terrible just lying to her face, so I told her to park in a more private area to chat. I then explained that her son physically mistreated me. She was mortified, to say the least. We both ended up in tears and hugged each other. I received a text a week later from Sandra that she recommended anger management centers and therapy for him, which she refused. So, she said unless he seeks help, she's cutting him out of her life. She canceled holiday, birthday, and Christmas plans with him for the rest of the year. Did not expect that. I then get told by friends that my ex has said he is self-harming now because I told his mom about the abuse. I know it was her decision to kick him out and his actions to me are unforgivable, but I can't help feeling guilty for breaking up their family and causing her son to be suicidal. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your ex is suffering the consequences of his actions. 1. Nobody forced him to abuse you. That was his choice. 2. He could have avoided being cut off by going to therapy and anger management. Also, hopping on here to say the fact he's saying he's self-harming because of you is another manipulation tactic. Stay strong, OP. Different situation, and the ex and I are more or less amicable. But even when she found out I was self-harming, I made it clear it wasn't because of her. It was the situation of the breakup and what that entailed, sure, but it wasn't her fault. It was depression and my feelings. Nobody else caused them. 100% a manipulative tactic if it's like, you're making me want to end myself. Not the a-hole. Oh, poor him. His abuse has been found out by his mom. He's not going to end himself. It's his way of trying to turn the tables and become a victim. Classic narcissist move. You did the right thing by telling the truth. Yes, the world would be a better place if we normalized the outing of perpetrators of DV, child abuse, sexual abuse. What's different here, and frankly encouraging, is that the relative of the perp didn't defend him. I mean, let's get real here. The guy should be in prison. It's kind of messed up that OP has any care whatsoever that he's currently separated from his family. That's trivial, relative to what should have happened to him, and that she's guilty about this is an indication of the screwed up dynamics around these issues. He assaulted her repeatedly. For that, he should be in prison for a long time for repeated violent felonies. Am I the only one who's worried that OP could be in danger now that he knows she told his mom? Stay safe, OP. I'm glad his mom was on your side. Funny you should say that. I am absolutely terrified of him because he lives in the same area as I do. I have actually accidentally bumped into him a couple times and have had to run away. I'm considering filing a restraining order against my ex. What do you think? Don't consider it. Do it. Contact the police and let them know your fear. Also ask your therapist if she has any ideas for how to protect yourself, especially if your ex knows where you live. You're not overreacting. Last story. Am I the a-hole for going no contact with my family after they expected me to get back with my ex and help her raise her affair baby? I am 30 male. I am not sure how to word this because I'm crushed and don't know what to do. I have been with my high school sweetheart Cassie since we were 17. My parents love her and so did I. Our parents were always asking when we would get married and give them grandchildren, and me and Cassie would say when we are financially stable. We are both doing good in our careers. My job, however, required me sometimes to leave the country. I left 7 months ago. I am due to go back this week. Except a friend of mine rang me to tell me that Cassie is 3 months pregnant. Obviously, I am not the father. I didn't believe my friend and rang up Cassie. And after pushing her, she finally broke down crying and admitted that she is pregnant and it was a drunken mistake. She said she doesn't know who the father is because it was a random guy. She said she wanted to keep the baby, and we raised the baby. I was in shock and ended the call. I texted her and said we were done. She tried to ring back, but I switched my phone off. I was on autopilot for a couple of days and just worked. Then my boss told me he had a family emergency call from my dad, and I took the call. My parents basically said that Cassie confessed to cheating, but it was a mistake, and the baby needs a father. I saw red and told him if he was so worried about the baby, then he can step up and be there. We got into a heated argument and I ended the call and blocked him. My mother, him and ex had been texting on different numbers and telling me to step up and mistakes happened. I got so frustrated that I rang them up and said that I was going no contact with them and I will be looking to applying for a visa to stay in the current country permanently. I heard my mother and ex start crying before I hung up. It's been a week now, and I have time to think about what happened and wonder if I'm the a-hole. Not the a-hole. And why the heck do so many people think a man should bite the bullet and raise some rando's kid because their wife/girlfriend/acquaintance decided to have unprotected sex with some other guy? Also, a drunken mistake. Hands up if you find your partner gone, then go get drunk and hook up. I did get drunk once and argued that our outside Christmas lights looked too much like Easter lights and would confuse the neighbors. I was told to come inside and sleep it off. Not the a-hole, and don't look back ever. Your parents are freaking a-holes for trying to step up as the father of the affair. This is a great opportunity to make everything you want. Don't throw it away. I think his parents want grandkids so bad that they lost their mind. Or one or both his parents have cheated. Why else are they pushing him to forgive? Sounds very suspicious. Update. I-28 female called my friend a creep weirdo after she posted a TikTok about my husband, 32 male. Original post. I-28 female. I'm friends with a girl named June, 28 female. My husband, 32 male, and I used to hang out a lot with her and her boyfriend. We'd go on double dates, take weekend trips together, and things like that. We've known each other for over 2 years, and I thought we were pretty close as a group, until this weekend. My husband is an orthodontist, and one of his patients is June's 12-year-old half-sister, Raya. June often brings Raya to her dental appointments. June is also a small-time online influencer and is always recording and vlogging. My husband and I made it clear to her that we didn't want our faces in any of her videos online, and she seemed to respect that boundary. We don't use social media, except Reddit, and we trusted her when she promised not to post us online. Fast forward to last weekend, my brother sent me a TikTok link with a message, "Dude, you've got to see this." I opened it, and it took me to June's TikTok account. She doesn't have a huge following, less than 10K, but the video he sent had around 500,000 views or likes. To my shock, it was a video compilation of my husband with the title, "God, I see what you've done for others." The video was honestly super creepy. She had secretly recorded my husband during our double dates, and he had no idea. In some clips, she'd start filming herself, then pan the camera to my husband giving a cutesy expression and mouthing words like, "Oh my god." The worst part was a clip of my husband working on her half-sister Raya in his scrubs. She didn't even blur out the kid's face while she was on the dental chair. I showed a video to my husband and he was horrified. He said it made him uncomfortable and violated to know someone had been secretly recording him. He was especially angry about being filmed while working on a patient. He texted June asking her to take down the video and delete any other videos she had of him. At first, she acted like she didn't know what he was talking about, then said she didn't mean any harm and did it for online engagement. Since, in her words, TikToks with hot guys go viral fast. She mentioned she gained a lot of followers because of it. This whole thing felt so weird, so we got our friends and family to report the video, and thankfully it's being taken down. This made June really angry, and she sent me a long text accusing me of being jealous of her online success and not wanting to see her succeed. I replied, "You're delusional and unhinged. You're not successful, and you never will be. Stay away from us, you creepy weirdo." Now she's upset, telling our mutual friends that I was mean to her and posting about mental health on her social media, complaining about how cruel some women can be. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. People who think online engagement is more important than basic human decency are sadly not at all uncommon, and they are, as you say, delusional and unhinged. Their success is not real, and except in a very few cases, it never will be. It's psychotic, honestly. My husband is so freaked out about this. I feel so bad for him. In all honesty, he should be concerned. Doctor visits are protected under HIPAA, and her recording then uploading without the patient's permission would be a violation of that, wouldn't it? Not the a-hole. She is creeping on your husband. Just so many boundaries crossed. Just as creepy. May need to make a TikTok video of while someone are mean to others. Sometimes it's justified when they are violating HIPAA laws and the privacy of another human being without permission, just to get likes because their life is so empty. Not what a person looks like it doesn't give another right to post things about them. I am fat and would love to join a gym, but I'm scared too, due to social media nowadays. I don't want someone posting images of me online. Heck, I barely go out in public anymore. I know the feeling about the gym thing. In my area, they have gyms where recording videos is not allowed. Maybe try finding something like that. It's like you can't breathe in public without someone taking out their phones and recording you. Not the a-hole. You and your husband had set clear boundaries, and she violated those boundaries. This shows that she does not respect y'all at all. I recommend cutting her off entirely, as anyone who disturbs your peace is not worth your time. Yes, we're cutting her off entirely. I don't know if her boyfriend is aware of this or not, but I guess he'll have to be collateral damage, because I don't want her to weasel her way back into our lives. He might need to drop the half-sister as a patient, and or tell the parents that she, June, is not allowed to accompany her anymore. I agree that is a creepy weirdo. If she can't get followers or likes without lying and getting consent for people to be recorded, then she needs to find a new career. Yes, he's in the process of informing her parents. I don't think he's gonna drop her as a patient, as her treatment is almost done and it's gonna be hassle for her to find a new orthodontist. Now for the first update. I don't want to make a whole new post for the same thing, so here goes. 1. My husband's practice reached out to Raya's parents to inform them of the situation via email, as they wanted everything documented. The parents responded and they were shocked and very apologetic. They've agreed that they'll be the ones to accompany Raya to her appointments from now on instead of June. They even offered to meet my husband to apologize in person, but I told him that wasn't necessary. 2. June's TikTok video is still in the process of being taken down. No major updates on that yet. I think she may have contested the reports or something. My husband and I have blocked her and everything. My brother is still keeping an eye on her TikTok account, just in case she posts anything else about us. If she does, we'll deal with it and probably consult a lawyer. 3. My husband is still pretty shaken up, upset, and annoyed by this whole thing. He's taken a few days off from work, and I've done the same. We might plan a trip to get away for a bit and clear our heads. Right now, I just want to be there for him, so I won't be posting anything for now. 4. We haven't told her boyfriend about any of this yet. My husband isn't in the right headspace to deal with that right now. And honestly, I think it's better for us to focus on ourselves for the time being. We don't want the added stress of dealing with how her boyfriend might react, or whether he was in on this. We'll inform him later when things settle down. I know it might seem selfish, but right now, this feels like the best choice. Thanks for all the responses. Second update a month later. Just when we thought the drama was over. Nope. We finally told June's boyfriend everything and he was shocked, hurt, and really confused. It turns out that June managed his social media accounts and he had no idea what she was posting. He thanked us for letting him know and we thought that would be the end of it. But then he asked to meet up because he needed to discuss something further. To be honest, we were really hesitant to meet with him. We were so done with the drama and didn't want to get sucked back in. But he seemed genuinely concerned and willing to listen, so we agreed. When we met, he told us he confronted June and she broke down, saying she loved him but claimed her obsession with my husband was all for social media clout. Apparently, my husband being a total package made for great content. When he asked to see her phone, she refused, so he checked her laptop and found hundreds of sneaky photos and video of my husband. And for laughs, she had pictures of me, looking my absolute worst. Mouth open while eating, making weird faces, the whole deal. I usually think I look pretty decent, but these photos were the exact opposite. It's like she was trying to prove some twisted point about my husband's ugly wife. Her boyfriend ended up dumping her. But honestly, this has freaked us out even more. The scale of her obsession is terrifying. Hundreds of photos and videos? That's not just a crush, that's an unhealthy fixation. The idea that she might escalate is really unsettling. As a small consolation, her boyfriend made her delete the videos from her social media and laptop. But God knows how many copies she's kept elsewhere. Even though June hasn't reached out to us since all this happened, we're still on high alert. Her silence is unnerving, and we're bracing ourselves for whatever might come next. Hopefully, it really was just about social media clout and not some creepy, fatal attraction type obsession. It's crazy that she was friends with me for over 2 years. We hung out all the time, took weekend trips with her and her boyfriend, and had so many mutual friends. And no one had any idea she was doing this behind our backs. Either I'm terrible at reading people or she's really good at being sneaky and deceptive. I'm also mentally kicking myself for not noticing that someone was taking pictures of me. My husband and I definitely need to be more aware of our surroundings from now on. On a positive note, Raya's parents are really thankful to my husband for continuing to treat her after everything. That's it for now, and hopefully this is the end of the whole ordeal. Just be careful, OP. June sounds unhinged. We are. It's kinda scary though because she knows where we live, where we usually hang out, where I work, and where my husband works. Can the both of you start asking a coworker to head to your cars with you at the end of the day? Minimize how often the two of you are solo out in public. And maybe switch up where you're hanging out and install cameras outside your home. We have cameras outside our home. Great idea about the coworker thing. Man, this is some serious soap opera level drama. Like you said though, better to stay aware. No one likes being caught off guard. Hopefully it ends soon and you can move on. At least the parenting situation seems good. Raya's parents are wonderful. They were the ones who used to initially accompany Raya to her appointments. They said June told them that she wants to spend more time with Raya and she is otherwise busy, so she could be the one chaperoning her. They had agreed because Raya was excited about spending time with her sister. It's really horrible that Jane was using Raya as a ruse to get near my husband, not gonna lie. Man, this is wild. But at least the boyfriend saw the truth and dumped her. Nobody needs that kind of obsession in their life. Stay safe, y'all. Also, don't be too hard on yourself for not noticing. Yes, she was just a pro at being creepy. Her boyfriend is also the victim here. I feel bad for him. Last story. Am I the a-hole for proposing to my ex-wife's ex-best friend? My fiancé Sarah is wonderful. I met her a year after I met my ex-wife, Martha. I've always admired Sarah for being an honest, kind person who fights for minorities, volunteers, and has a great sense of humor. Sarah and my ex-wife were great friends. However, when I initially wanted to get to know Sarah better, she kept her distance. Over the years, though, we became very good friends. 7 years ago, Martha, 38 female, cheated on me with a colleague of hers. I had my suspicions, so I asked Sarah, 36 female, if she knew anything about it. She said she didn't. I did my own digging and eventually found proof of the affair. To make it worse, this colleague had even come to our house a few times, so he knew my family. I left Martha immediately, but it was a tough time, especially for my daughter Lily, 15 female. During that period, Sarah was incredibly supportive. She cut ties with Martha and let me stay with her after the divorce, even though I insisted I could stay in a hotel. I didn't want to bother my other friends as they were all married, and my family lived too far away. Sarah was patient and listened to me when I needed someone the most. When Martha found out I was staying with Sarah, she laughed and said she wasn't surprised. I asked her what she meant, but she refused to explain. Later, my daughter came to visit, and she was extremely rude to Sarah. I asked Lily why she was acting like that, and she told me that her mother had said the reason for our divorce was because I was in love with Sarah. Furious, I called Martha, but she claimed she always knew I had feelings for Sarah and hung up on me. It had been years since I had felt a spark for anyone, but I began looking forward to coming home to Sarah. Eventually, we became a couple, and Sarah got pregnant. We now have a 5-year-old son, Caleb. When Caleb was born, Lily, who had always been unpleasant with Sarah, suddenly became calm and got along with Caleb really well. In fact, she's almost overprotective of him. When I discipline Caleb, Lily gets upset, takes him to her room, and locks the door. It's hard to spend time with my son when Lily is around because she monopolizes him. Sarah says I should be happy that Lily loves her brother, but it's a bit much. A week ago, I proposed to Sarah and she said yes. When Martha found out, she came to our house, furious. Thankfully, Sarah wasn't home at the time. Martha accused me of using Sarah's kindness to fuel my sick obsession with her. I told her she was crazy and had no idea what she was talking about. She then claimed that throughout our marriage, all I could think about was Sarah. She pointed out that every time I did something good for others, I justified it by saying Sarah would do the same. Martha went on, accusing me of only donating to certain causes because Sarah did, claiming I wasn't originally interested in movements like BLM, but pretended to be an expert because of Sarah. She said that during our social gatherings, I would always seek Sarah's attention and smile like a child when she was around. Martha also said that I refused to be intimate with her, and she believed it was because I was thinking about Sarah. She even claimed that I treated Caleb differently than I treated Lily, because I had always wanted a son, and it was Sarah who gave me that son. I was furious and told her to leave before she woke Caleb up. She laughed, saying I never cared about waking Lily when she was younger, but now I treated my son differently. She also insinuated that I was obsessed with Sarah's achievements. I was so angry that I told her to get out of my house. I haven't told Sarah about Martha's outburst. I admit that I've always admired Sarah, but I never thought of it as an obsession, and I definitely didn't plan on marrying Sarah while I was with Martha. It's true that I've always wanted a son, but that doesn't mean I don't love Lily. Martha cheated on me, so why am I being made to feel like the bad guy? I can't help but wonder, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Your ex-wife's infidelity led to your divorce, and it's important to remember that her choices were the catalyst for everything that followed. It's natural for you to seek happiness and love after such a betrayal. To be honest, I think OP had feelings for Sarah, but he never acted on them, and she also controlled herself. She kept her distance, and he admired her whether it was in a romantic or platonic way. The main culprit is the ex-wife, who couldn't handle her own insecurities and miscommunication that led to the ultimate path that destroyed her marriage and her daughter's home. So she can pull herself out of her moral high and stop manipulating her cheating. P.S. Clearly communicate with your daughter how her mother's infidelity led to the divorce only. She chose the coward's route. Right? X was clearly in her head the past however many years. Probably cheated on Opie to get back at him for his love story she built in her head of him and Sarah. Does Lily know Martha cheated on you with a coworker? She doesn't know about the cheating, but she does know that during our breakup, Martha was dating a man. Why would you not tell her? She's old enough to know. You have evidence. Why are you letting your lousy ex ruin your relationship with your daughter? I would do everything imaginable to save my relationship with my girl, even if it meant going nuclear on a lying, cheating ex that I had evidence of infidelity on. Your ex has earned zero protection from you regarding the truth. You're right. I think I wanted to protect my daughter. I thought that if Lily hates me and then when she learns of her mother's infidelity she hates her too, she'll feel even more betrayed, and I don't know if she'll be able to overcome that. To be honest, she didn't sound like such a great friend to your ex-wife, except when she initially kept her distance from you. Is it because she realized you liked her back then? Because the way you write about her, it seems really obvious. It was probably obvious to your ex as well. Your ex cheated on you, which was wrong, and her bestie proceeded to cut her off and offer you refuge, which is really odd. Within 2 years of your marriage breaking down, you then become a father again. So yes, it was all very quick. I may be wrong, but it sounds like your ex was already checking out of your marriage because of your obvious admiration of Sarah. You sound like you are marrying the woman you wanted all along. Yes, you're the a-hole and so is Sarah.